First pay-per-view fight week of the year. We finally made it back. We got through an Apex card. That was cool and all, but now we get to the big show. UFC 311 this Saturday night. Still in Inglewood, California. There was kind of a debate whether that was going to be moved back to Vegas or if it was going to be stay in LA, but um, thankfully it's able to stay in LA and we get to see how the Intuit Dome looks with the UFC card. It looks crazy in Clipper games. I don't know if AJ, if you've watched any Clipper games, but it is wild.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah,
Pretty cool.
yeah. But this is the official Combat Corner prediction video for UFC 311, and we start off in the prelims heavyweight bout. Jalton Almeida against Sergey the Polar Bear Spivak. Jalton Almeida is a giant favorite right now. He's been lines of minus 500 and even further. Um, Personally, AJ, this one's going to be a little bit of a weird one on the feet, especially. Where do you see this fight going? Who do you have to win?
Bro, I don't know. Unless you're like a crazy Sergey Spivak fan, I personally have not seen a single person picking Sergey Spivak to win this fight. I'm not saying I'm picking. That's swaying my pick. I would still pick Jayton Almeida to win this fight, just because. I mean, Sergey literally only it. If you have a good build and you're actually athletic and you want to win a title, you're gonna beat Sergey Spivak. The only people he beats are like fat nobodies. That's literally it.
That's
So
crazy.
Jayden Almeida, I mean, he's people, dude. People were literally picking Spivak to beat Cyril Gahn, and that's crazy to me.
Yeah, definitely saw. I think this with the whole Cyril Gahn thing, it was just because that was his first fight from the John Jones fight. Spivak does have sort of a wrestling background and uses wrestling a lot in his MMA style. So a lot of people were questioning Gahn's ability to defend that. Of course, Gahn got the TKO. But for me in this fight, I am picking Jailton Almeida. I just think he's going to be able to get Sergey on his back, and I don't think Sergey's going to be able to defend himself when he's on his back. I think a TKO is very live here for Jailton Almeida. I don't know if you know this, AJ, but Sergey Spivak has never been submitted once in his life. Once. So while Jailton is always live for a submission, and sometimes whenever he gets his takedowns, he hunts them a little too much instead of just trying to land shots. I think in this fight, this is a great opportunity for him to use the ground and pound and put away Sergey Spivak via TKO. That's what I think is going to happen. I don't see a sub here. While Jalton will be looking for one, I think a TKO is more live.
Yeah, some ground and pound. I would go. I would also go Jayden by ground and pound TKO. I really don't think there's a way Sergey wins unless he flukes a win, maybe. But I don't know. I don't. I'm not big on Sergey Spivak. I don't think he's that good. But you
Fair
never know.
enough.
It's MMA.
It's MMA. Anything can happen. That's why we watch. That's why they have the fights.
That's why we
But
have.
up next in the bantamweight division, highly touted prospect Peyton Talbot coming in at a whopping minus 1,300 favorite against Renai Barcelos. Um, I mean, is there going to be that much breakdown with this one? We all are super high on Peyton Talbot. Um, Only 9 fights into his career, but has shown all the capability to really turn himself into a player at this division, and it starts this weekend. Barcelos is a really highly touted grappler. He's extremely slick on the ground, good at finding subs, but um, I think Peyton's going to have the clear advantage on the feet. I think he'll be able to just hit Barcelos with some good shots, um, play his distance well, and if it gets to the ground, whether Peyton chooses to engage or primarily wants us to be on the feet, I think he'll succeed in either of those instances, and I think Peyton Talbot gets probably a second or third round finish. What do you think, AJ?
I think I agree that Peyton wins this. Peyton has 10 ways to win this fight any way he wants. But I mean, I really think that I could see Peyton hurting Barcelos on the feet early. Finding him, clipping him, and I think Barcelos going to try to take it to the ground after that. And I kind of feel like Peyton's going to get a submission in this fight. He's going to
Interesting.
sub him maybe in the later round 3, round 2. See a
I
sub
don't
coming from Peyton or some
I don't
ground and
mind that.
pound.
Are we concerned about the haircut?
Haircut, he might have lost some aura when he cut the hair. But I mean, he's still a beast. He's still bagged Frank Ocean. Um, and I think after he wins, he's gonna go read his feminist literature, and we're not gonna see him the rest of the year. Hopefully, we do that.
I hope you're wrong about that last part. I hope it's him fighting it so early in the year, second card of the year entirely. As we've talked about before, I think this can really set him up if he puts on a highlight reel performance again.
Yeah.
I think it can set him up for a really good year and one where he can be active. But yeah, I
Hey,
like
and
Peyton Talbot.
this got moved to the featured prelim fight.
It
So
did,
good on
yeah.
my boy.
So
Good on him.
I think that's just more reason to think that Peyton's gonna show out.
I mean,
Show out.
they want him to win. He's gonna win. Now moving on to the main card. First fight on the main card: Kevin Holland versus RDR. What do you think, Preston?
Middleweight fight here. Pick'em odds, as you can see, and I completely agree with that. I think this fight can go either way. That being said, De Ritter did get the finish against Gerald Meerschaert, and subbing Gerald Meerschaert is, no matter what you want to say about Gerald Meerschaert, that's not an easy thing to do. Meerschaert's a well, well-rounded grappler himself, and so that's impressive on his own. And De Ritter, before that sub, um, didn't look otherworldly. He didn't look completely awful either, obviously, but I think we all kind of know at this point in his career, if you've watched him in his UFC debut and you watched him over at one, you know what's coming at you if you're Kevin Holland from Reiner de Ritter. It's the striking. He'll stand there for a little bit. Um, he wants this fight on the ground. He wants to grapple. He wants to look for subs. That's what de Ritter likes to do. And for Holland, I really feel like the winner of this fight is going to be on how Holland mentally and just on his approach goes about this fight because we've kind of seen situations where with Holland where he doesn't always um do what people think he should strategy wise, and for me at least I think Holland's going to have a massive advantage on the feet with the length that he has, with the reach advantage. um De Ritter is taller, but I think Kevin Holland should be able to um, sort of just be able to point fight a little bit, land clean shots on De Ritter, and potentially landing some devastating blows to cause a knockout. If I'm Kevin Holland, I don't think I'm trying to engage with De Ritter on the ground as much. Kevin Holland is a really good grappler in his own right, but I think his best path to victory is on the feet. And with that being said, I will take Kevin Holland. I will not hold my breath on that though.
Yeah. I think this is a fight that Kevin Holland should win. He's got the experience. He's got the resume. Like everything. He has everything besides maybe the wrestling better than RDR. But it's Kevin Holland. And so, like, you never know. Like you brought up with the GM3, Ritter was able to submit him. He dominated him, and then Kevin Holland went to split decision with him. How that be it, that was kind of before Kevin Holland's little prime, but that still happened. Um, and I never know with Kevin Holland. I love Kevin Holland. I want him to win. I think I'm going with RDR on this one, probably by decision. Uh, that's just what I've learned from Kevin Holland and fights that he should easily win. He just doesn't. So
One more thing, on my Kevin Holland point that I think a lot of people aren't talking about is that while while De Ritter is it is his second fight in the UFC, so he has fought in the UFC. He is a UFC fighter, obviously. Um, if you go back to the Michael Venom Page fight last year, Kevin Holland really was wanted to take pride in proving that MVP wasn't UFC caliber, and it was obviously MVP's debut. During the press conference, you heard Kevin talk about how things are different in the UFC, and everybody knows that. Um, obviously, going towards MVP, that he's in the big leagues now. It didn't work out for him that night, but I think just the point on that is I think Kevin Holland's gonna kind of go into this fight with that same mentality as he wants to show De Ritter what UFC caliber fights are like. And Holland, when he's in certain fights, has looked like a world beater, especially whenever he's fought at 170. So I'm just riding with the potential that he has and the talent that we know he has. So that's why I'm going with Kevin Holland.
yeah, I mean, I hope he wins. I really do. I love Kevin Holland. Love to see him start the year off with a win. Next
Oh,
fight, we got old Money Moicano versus Benil Dariush.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm going Money
We,
Moicano all day on this one. I just think right now Moicano's rolling really well. I think he's really found a good spot in his career. And technically speaking, I think on the feet it's pretty even keel. I do think Dariush is the harder hitter. Um, but I think this is going to be. I don't think this Moicano is going to necessarily wash Dariush by any means. I think this is going to be a competitive, close fight. I could see this being like a 2-1 decision for Moicano, and it could be a good scrap. I think as far as both of their ground games, I feel like they're both very well-rounded and good on the ground to where this is, I think their ground games will nullify each other a little bit, and I think this is mostly going to play out on the feet. Um, but I just think Moicano is going to be a little bit more active in the striking. Um, I think he's going to be the one that goes first, takes that first step, brings the forward pressure, and I think he's just going to be a little too tough for Dariush. One thing I will say though is that like I think Dariush is getting, while I am picking against him, um, I think he is getting disrespected a little bit on just like how he's being looked at right now. I mean, just kind of in the grand scheme of lightweight, you kind of look at Moicano, he's climbing up the ranks. He was 3-0 last year, on a good run right now. And then we look at Dariush, and you got people out there saying that he's washed and that he looks old and things like that. Um, they're the same age. And I don't know if a lot of people realize that. So while I am picking Moicano, I think Dariush is a very live dog and would not be surprised one bit if Benny gets it done. But that being said, Money Moicano, close decision win.
I agree. I'm also going McConnell by decision win. But I also agree with what you said about Benel Dariush. He's definitely being overlooked. He's not some washed jobber that is just there to lose. On Moicano's path to the title, I do feel like Moicano is fighting for more than Benil Dariush is. Benil Dariush is already right there, just in the top five. I think, is he still in the top five? No,
He either is or he might be right outside
like
at this
right
point.
outside it. Moicano is on this run where he's trying to create a little title run late in his career before he calls it quits. I think so. I think that's like you said. He is going to be more. I think he's going to be the more aggressor in this fight. Um, but you can't count out Benil Dariush either. He's a
So
good
actually,
fight.
on the rankings, sorry to interrupt there.
Oh, good.
Benil Dariush is actually down to number 9, and Moicano is number 10. Um, yeah, because you still got guys like Chandler is still above Dariush, which we don't
That's
know what's
great.
happening. Yeah. Gamrot's above him still. Obviously, Max Holloway was inserted to the rankings. He's at number 5. And then Hooker beating Gamrot is at number 6. So Dariush did slide in the rankings a little bit. But I mean, if you look at Dariush, I mean, he's only lost to the best guys. I mean, his last loss was against the guy who's fighting for the title on this exact card, Arman Sarukian. So um picking Moicano,
Yep. Same
but
here. McConnell by close decision.
close decision, and I will not be surprised if Benny gets it done.
We got the featured of the night. In my opinion, maybe the hardest one to pick. What do you think, Preston?
I don't think it's the hardest one to pick. Um, I think the hardest one to pick was probably the one we just talked about with Moicano and Dariush, if I'm being honest, that or the Holland fight. But with that being said, I'm rolling with Jamal Hill here. I think there is a I think there is a legit sense of I do believe Jamal whenever he's talking about how um he was fresh off that Achilles injury coming into 300. He was called looking to save that card, needed to be that dance partner for Alex. Um, came back to that, came back from his Achilles injury with, I think, off only 8 months of recovery, which, if you know anything about an Achilles injury, usually takes a little bit longer than 8 months. Um, I just think Jamal's a little bit, or a decent bit more technical than Yuri. Obviously, Yuri has that awkward style, moves awkwardly, has his hands all over the place. So, and also Yuri's just very hittable. Um, while he has had a granite chin for all of his career, chins get cracked at some point. Um, he's not incapable of being flatlined. He's human like everyone else. And while I do love Yuri's fighting style and love his story and everything that he's about, and he's a samurai and all this, I just think I think Jamal's going to chop down his legs, and I think Jamal's just going to land those clean shots straight down the pipe. Um, and I think he's going to put Yuri away, actually. I think Jamal's going to really show out this card and really put himself back in position to get that rematch that he's wanted so bad with Pineda. So I'm going with Jamal Hill.
Yeah, I'm also going Jamal Hill. I think he's a much more technical fighter than Yuri is. It's not really a debate. Him being a southpaw, I mean those calf kicks are going to be open for him all day. He's going to be kicking that calf. I know he is, and he's going to be jabbing him up on the feet. Like Yuri likes to get hit. Now, like you said, you know his chin got cracked in his last couple fights with Pereira. He's cracked open that chin, and like once your chin gets cracked, it's it's there. Like you just don't have it no more. You can't not can't not fix that. Um, now I think I also am picking Jamal Hill by knockout, but I also think if Yuri wins, it's also going to be my knockout. So the thing with Jamal Hill is he can
Yeah,
like
I'm taking sorry to I'll get you back to it in 1 second. I'm taking the under if I'm betting on this fight on rounds. That's for sure.
yeah that's going distance. Um, I think the thing with Jamal Hill that worries me though, not worries me. Jamal Hill, I mean, he's going to knock you out. You know, it's going to be like later in the rounds after he does some damage and you start getting some wear and tear and you're getting knocked out. Yuri can clip you with one and it's like lights out. Um,
I think
I
Jamal
really
can
love
do the same.
he can, but I don't think of Jamal Hill as a guy that'll flatline somebody like Yuri. But
I think Johnny Walker would disagree.
I mean, bro, you know why Johnny Walker pulled out his fight, bro? I heard a ladybug landed on him. All right on the calf. He's done.
That's crazy.
Anyways, the thing though that really kind of pulled me towards Jamal Hill was I went back to the Glover Teixeira fight. I mean, Jamal Hill dominated him in that fight, and Yuri went life or death with him. Um, it was a back and forth fight, which Yuri obviously ended up winning. But Jamal Hill is just way more technical. He's more, he can find the open shot. He's gonna kick that calf. Yuri's just throwing stuff, praying it works, and sometimes it does. But Jamal Hill is gonna piece him up and knock him out round 2, beginning of round 3.
Another thing to look at, I think Jamal has the clear advantage on the ground. Jamal Hill is a sneaky good grappler. I believe he's a brown belt now. If not getting closer to that black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. But I think if this fight hits the floor, I think I would give Jamal that advantage too. So I think Jamal could be live for multiple ways of winning, but obviously we've seen both of these men fight a lot, and I think this is primarily going to play out on the feet. I think Jamal catches him and earns his way back to that title shot.
Yep. Now we got the co-main event. So excited for this fight. What are your thoughts?
Rob defending his title for the first time. Kind of not, I wouldn't necessarily say short notice, but we did not expect this fight to happen in January. Obviously, these two have been sort of heated at each other. You saw that press conference that they had where Islam and Arman weren't really talking at all in that press conference. There was a lot of screaming back and forth between Umar and Merab. Merab bringing up the jacuzzi photo. That was hilarious.
I'm ready for this press conference tomorrow.
I'm so ready for the press conference on Thursday. I think they're gonna light it up. I think they're gonna be the highlight of it. But that being said, not even just from a betting perspective, but crazy to me that Merab is at plus 240. I get Umar's that guy. I get the Umar hype. He's got the last name to match it. He's undefeated. I get it. But with how dominant Merab has looked against all of his last opponents, even having some moments where he getting dropped by Cejudo, or round 5 of the O'Malley fight. Outside of really those two moments, it's been domination from Merab. He's got maybe what I think is the best weapon that anyone has in MMA, which is his forward pressure, his cardio combined with his elite wrestling ability. Obviously, I don't think he's going to be live for a sub in this fight, but I think this fight goes the distance or goes at least to round 4. And I think Merab is just going to put the wear and tear on Umar. I think he's going to overwhelm him. Um, that being said, I do think Umar will win rounds primarily early. But I think Merab wins a decision. I think he wins a 48-47, 3-2 decision and retains his title. I think he's going to be a little bit more active on the feet. I don't think he's the cleaner striker of the two, but just as I was saying before with that forward pressure and his cardio, I think the striking will be involved as that as well in that as well. So I'm rolling with Merab, an underdog, a rare underdog that we see from Merab. What say you?
Now, for most of these predictions, we have pretty much had the same predictions. I'm gonna disagree with you on this one, brother. I've got Umar. I mean, he's 18-0 for a reason. Yeah, he's kind of fought nobody, but when you look at the fights he's had, besides Sandhagen, and you look at the fight that he's had. I mean, pure domination. I mean, he's got the striking. And personally, I think the second best striker in the division, right behind right behind O'Malley.
Really?
After, I thought Sandhagen was the second best, and I mean, he outboxed Sandhagen, outstruck Sandhagen in that fight.
Better than Piotr Jan.
Oh,
Uh,
Maybe. I don't know. Obviously, he's massive for the bantamweight division. He's got the reach advantage. Uh, he's he has the clear advantage in the striking, but he's got the wrestling too. He's not scared to go to the ground with Marab. I think he might even initiate some takedowns. His takedown defense is really good, so Marab's going to shoot those takedowns. We've seen that he can go 5 rounds, so I don't think. I mean, obviously, no one has Marab's cardio, but I think he's going to be okay. And if it does go to the ground, I mean, he can easily fight the hands and take position where he can control Marab on the ground and maybe even find a submission late. But I do think it's going to be kind of a boring grappling match. Well, other think it's boring. I'll probably find it interesting. But I do have Umar winning by decision. It'll be a close fight. Maybe people might say it's a robbery. I think it'll be that close, but I've got Umar and New.
Yeah, I think there's gonna be a lot of really pretty ground transitions, a lot of grappling exchanges and scrambles. So I'm super excited for this, but not as excited as I am for the main event.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
The pound for pound number one fighter and lightweight champion Islam Makhachev defending his title against Arman Sarukian in a rematch of what was a very close fight a few years back. Arman actually took that on 3 weeks' notice going into his UFC debut, I believe, and he gave Islam one of his toughest fights to date. So I'm excited to see where they're both at. They both leveled up so much. Islam obviously being the champion that he is, proving every fight why he's so dominant and how he just keeps on looking better and better, especially on the feet. He looks really great. Um, and that's where I think this is going to separate. I already think he's the better grappler and wrestler, as what even though Armin is also elite. I do think Islam's the better striker. I think he is going to be able to land more shots in volume, and I think he's really going to work the kicks. I think he's going to land some hard calf kicks, going to land some body kicks. Obviously, we know he can throw head kicks because of the Volkanovski fight. Um, so I think there's going to be a really good blend of striking and grappling in this fight, but through and through, um, I think Islam's going to win. I don't see a submission here. I don't think Armin's going to get submitted as well as Islam's ground game is. So I'm rolling. I'm going to say Islam by late knockout. I'm going to say maybe end of third, fourth round knockout. Um, whether it's ground and pound or on the feet. Um, I just think Islam's going to be a little bit too much for Armin on this night.
I mean, you already know who I'm rocking with on this fight, but
show him the shirt. Show him the shirt.
Don't. Hey, this is my guy right here, best fighter in the world. But don't get it twisted. This is a tough fight for Islam. He kind of said today how he doesn't think this is his toughest fight. You know, this new Armin that he hasn't fought before. He says he thinks the fight with Charles was harder, the fight with Dustin was harder, the fight with Volk was harder. I think this is a very I don't know if he's just playing it up, talking. This is a tough fight. He did bring up the fact that when he first fought Armin, he wasn't able to. He didn't have nothing to study on. It was his first fight in the UFC. Yeah, he couldn't. Okay. He didn't have nothing to watch. But now they've been both, in the UFC. They've obviously watched other. Obviously, Armin has done that too with Islam. Watching some film, and they both evolved. I think I would love to see Islam knock out Armin. I don't think that's gonna happen. I got Islam by very, very, very close. Also, maybe some people might say it's a robbery decision. But I mean, I as a big Islam fan, I'm kind of spooked for this fight. I'm kind of worried, but like Islam said today, we know he does well in rematches. So
That he does. Also, right before we go, how about both of their Marab and Islam's custom shorts?
oh yeah, I
You were pretty high on Islam's. I like them a lot. They're simple. There's not a lot of color in them. The mountains on the front, with the gold lettering, obviously, I think they're perfect for Islam. To be honest, I was kind of at first I was kind of hating on them because I just didn't feel like the Dagestanis were the type to like do the custom shorts. I feel like they were always just gonna rock like the classic black and gold or whatever, just normal like
yeah,
Venom UFC shorts. But I think they did well with Islams. They didn't do too much on them. And then Marabs, I think, are top tier. I mean, the detail on Marabs, if you want to zoom in there with
yeah.
the
That's pretty
horse and the like the knight or whatever that is on there with like the sword, that is really cool. The Georgian flag logo, obviously. I think I like Marabs a little bit more. Um, but they're both spectacular. I think
all
this
right. They're sick. I texted you last night when I saw them. I was like, bro, Islam's got the best shorts. I actually might buy these. The only reason I'm not buying them now is because if I bought them now, I'd want them to be in time by Saturday
yeah.
to where I would wear them to the B-dubs, rocking them like a jersey. But I think they're sick. I love the Dagestani Mountains. So tough. The sword. And Marabs are really cool too, and they look good on them. I saw him wearing them. He came out, he tried them on. They look sick. I like the Georgian writing in the back.
Yep.
The horses, everything. I mean, they're both. And I said I don't think Islam will ever get custom shorts because they're really
I
humble.
was
They don't.
shocked. I was shocked.
Yeah. They're sick. They're I call me biased. They're my favorite. They're my favorite custom shorts. They're gonna win. They're gonna win best custom shorts. Hey,
Spoiler alert.
they're winning that
Well,
award.
with that being said, UFC 311, I'm pumped, and our next episode will be our instant reaction. So catch y'all then.